this is, I'm going to call this video Confessions. And this is a brief history about me, if you ever want to know. I am 56 years old. I was born in Brownfield, Texas, out by Lubbock, Texas. Through my early childhood into my teen years, I was pretty much a straight A student. I was fascinated by weather phenomenon, science, math. Initially, I had survived a F5 tornado in Lubbock, Texas on May 11th of 1970. I have a scar on top of my lip to prove it. From that point in time, I really became fascinated with weather. When I was younger, I was going to be a weatherman, meteorologist. I actually had ideas that maybe I might end up working at NASA. However, life tends to throw you some curveballs, and through a series of events, I transitioned from living with my mother and my stepfather to living with my father, and kind of got derailed at one point once I grew a mustache on my lip and figured out I could buy beer when I was 16 years old and not get ID'd. It kind of took me plumb off course, and I discovered girls. Imagine that. So I dropped out of high school 2 weeks into my junior year, and I ended up getting my GED the same time I would have graduated in 1982. Anyway, several different jobs and things ended up landing me in Neosho, Missouri in September of 1984. Went to work at a little automotive parts store. Worked there for months of October, November, and December, and the person that owned the store at that time was selling the store, and in the process of selling the store, I was terminated. I was laid off Christmas Eve and given a $200 severance. So I drew unemployment for about 3 months there, 3.5 months. Toward the end of March, I figured out that, I might not be able to continue drawing unemployment. So I went and applied 3 places. All 3 places wanted to hire me. I ended up going to work at Don's Honda shop, motorcycle shop next to the U.S. Fish Hatchery in Neosho in March of 1985. While I was there, I started out as the parts boy, became the parts manager, became sales manager, and eventually the general manager. And I was there until January of 95. Left there, went to Joplin Honda, and went to work for Willie Bertram. Was there for about 6 months before we got sideways, or a little over 6 months. We got sideways and left there, sold cars for a little bit, and then was contacted by the people that owned the Honda Yamaha dealership in Springfield, Missouri, and went to work up there in December of 95. Did that from December of 95 until end of August of 98, at which time I left there as a general manager. I was there, and we set sales goals, or set sales records at that store in the region with Honda motorcycles and ATVs. Anyway, after I got out of the motorcycle industry, I went and took the real estate course, got my real estate license, and I've done that since October of 98. Got my broker's license in February of 2013, and had my own office since March of 2013. I'm just a regular guy. I've made a lot of mistakes. I've done some good too, though. In February of 2018, I was ordained into a ministry called Pass the Salt Ministries out of Columbus, Ohio. Dave Daubenmire, Coach Dave Daubenmire, is who I got my ordination underneath. Little did I know that that ordination and the things that come along with reconvicting your life to Christ will have not only massive but dramatic impacts. I'm beginning to understand just a little bit about what Christ's apostles went through. You know, it took Christ dying on the cross for the apostles to figure out what he had been teaching them. And once you die for yourselves and turn your life over to him, the treasures of this world mean nothing anymore. I'm laying up treasures in heaven. The treasures I value of this world are my children and my grandchildren. And the reason that I am doing this, the reason that I'm running for Congress with no political experience, is because the Lord put this on me to do. And to be obedient. And one thing that I've discovered with the Lord, well, I like to use the word reconcile. And yes, I am getting misty-eyed. Is that when you do the works for him, there are rewards. Now there's some negatives that come along with that too. You get ridiculed, beguiled, made fun of, but that's okay. This is what he has set me out to do, and I am following his footsteps and his directions of what he has for my life. We all need to learn how to be humble servants again. We all need to get outside of ourselves and do as he has commanded. Because I think there's a passage somewhere that says faith without works is dead. And we have a lot of Christians that have a lot of faith, but they're not doing anything with it. So that's my story. A little piece of it. I'm an open book. I'm not afraid to tell anybody anything. In fact, I'm gonna cut any opposition off right now. If you want to know the bad things that Kevin Van Story's done, is back when he was getting a divorce from his wife in the early 2000s. He was quite the womanizer, and he got around. And then he's had a real love-hate relationship with this government mafia called the Internal Revenue Service. They are literally criminals. They are not of our government. Nowhere in the Constitution or the Bill of Rights does it say anything about the IRS. They heard that I didn't care about losing things, because between them and the Missouri Department of Revenue in 2012, I lost everything I had. I lost homes, my home, vehicles, real estate. They even, on January 31st of 2012, my home was being foreclosed on, and that same day the Missouri Department of Revenue swept my checking and savings accounts of all the cash that I had. So, with that being said, there's the confession. I've turned it around. Like I said, treasures of this world mean nothing to me. There's a song that Triumph, I'm an old rock and roll kid, there's a song that Triumph sang that said, you think a little more money is going to buy your soul some rest, you need to think again. I'm setting up treasures in heaven, and I want to make a difference and make a change in this world that my kids and my grandkids are going to grow up in, and I want to show them what the Constitution was about. The greatest book ever written, the Bible. The greatest document ever written behind it, our Constitution, based on the Bible, based on Christian values. Running out of time. There's my confession. God bless, take care, and I'll see you soon.